I might not have mentioned this before, but Reincarnated as a Slime is one of my favorite fantasy animes of all time alongside Overlord. The story of a pacifistic slime who simply wants everyone to be happy is honestly refreshing in this genre of overpowered main characters who often end up in the boring loop of saving yet another damsel in distress to add to their collection of waifus in their harem. And to top it off, a decent progression of city building, country wars, and demon lords that spice things up every step of the way. And as a fan of Rimuru's escapades over the past 2 seasons and certainly counting, I naturally had to give the anime licensed gacha game of Reincarnated as a Slime a try, after a good while without a new season of the anime, and sure enough, they give a very decent first impression unlike many other licensed gacha games. What is that slime doing? Damn it, editor, that's not what I meant by slime.
Don't let your kids watch it!
As far as the story goes though, the main story of the game runs through the original story of the first season of Slime, with befriending Veldora the dragon in the cave, escaping said cave, and setting up the Goblin Town. Except there's now a mysterious new enemy who's incidentally Rimuru's illegitimate daughter. Scandalous, I know. Shion and Shuna are gonna be very angry about this. Midway through the story, you are greeted by evil versions of our main characters that show up in a strange vision in the middle of your anime recap episode throughout the main story. And I see you typing there, nuh-uh, no, do not watch an anime recap of Slime. Go watch it properly like any dignified weeb should. And Rimuru? As with many other games, the main attraction of the game has to be the 4 to 5 side stories that are available right off the bat that were written by the original author that actually aren't part of the anime, but fit in surprisingly well in the anime. The only thing you need to know is Veldora in a maid costume. And I knew the side stories were worth it. The game's progression is tied into town building, where you get to build towns in a very Clash of Clans-esque fashion, except you can then run around town you built from the ground up and scream Hog Rider! And interact with characters. But the only downside is that's really all you can do in town once you've actually played the game for long enough, and it's just a glorified way of increasing bond levels with your allies and giving you an excuse to run around town. Most of your game will be spent in this menu instead of the open world, which just basically turns this into any generic gacha game at this point, that has everything from training your units to playing the main story, and of course, you know exactly where I'm going with this, rolling the gacha. The game is very stingy with its gacha currency outside the big 1.5 year anniversary event that's running at the moment, at least while I was writing the script, and with how much free stuff they gave during their anniversary, it was the best time to hop into the game to give it a go. I actually rolled about 5 SSRs, 2 of them being purely support characters or protection characters in the game. The worst part of protection characters in this game is that you barely see them in game outside of a cool cutscene, and half of them don't even have 3D models. And with how well designed some of these models are, it's such a waste, especially when these characters have a 1% roll chance, while the on-field attacker characters that are fully visible on the screen are at 3%. Seeing that one of my SSR protection characters was our favorite resident demon lord Milim in a swimsuit, the devs might as well have been giving us protection from getting hit by the FBI again. And speaking of units, suck my unit. This has to be one of the most streamlined games I've played in a long time. Units can be leveled up in a span of seconds by holding a single button, start and end battle animations can be skipped entirely, and the game basically plays itself. Which is honestly a great thing because the mechanics of this game are so confusing. But you know I'm gonna try and summarize it anyway in the worst way possible. You get attacks of specific colors for each character in a set of 6, which you then play Candy Crush with and ping the orbs with the same color to attack with. And each character has a set of skills that can change the color of orbs or boost your damage for certain colors or some other magical crap that would send most people reeling because the icons are fairly intuitive for some but not others, so it gets way worse when you try and swap characters out and have new skill icons to play 20 questions with. It's even to the point I half suspect the devs have no idea what the hell they were doing either, so they basically allowed you to play the game on autopilot so that they can as well. It's still pretty cool that they can explain auto-battling using Great Sage's skills like Parallel Thought as a valid explanation, but do be prepared to hear Great Sage say every time you finish a mission. You finish the mission. Obtain bitches. Touch grass. Outside of the great character designs and the game-only side stories that flesh out Rimuru's slime adventures in an entertaining fashion, A lot of the game loop gets fairly stale with how much it relies on recapping the anime as its main story. I can definitely foresee a lot of people falling into the trap of skipping the story only to miss some new important plot point from the game-only antagonist.
What is that?
It's all non-canon outside of the event and side stories that fit in well with the anime's event, so as far as Rimuru's daughter goes, you're really not missing much out unless you just need more slime. And with this, I have to give Slime Isekai Memories about a 6 out of 10. It's a fairly average game to the ordinary player and aimed at the die-hard slime fans like myself. With little motivation to play the game outside of reading the side stories and enjoying some of your favorite waifus in surprisingly decent costumes, it falls short from most gacha games in the end. It doesn't mean I don't enjoy Reincarnated as a slime any less. It's an honestly fun anime to watch and one of my top isekai anime of all time, as I've mentioned before. Seeing all of these characters in full 3D cel shading reminiscent of Naruto Storm, except this is a mobile game, is honestly surprising. Except from what I hear, the game's very poorly optimized on phones due to this, and you'll need a very beefy phone or tablet to actually run it optimally. It's all because the game is simply too gorgeous for its own good to even be played on mobile. I'd personally only recommend the game if you want to see more of Shuna and Shion and all the other waifus in cute costumes.
Nice.
Or for me, seeing my favorite lizardman ninja girl Sokka in a wedding dress getting all flustered when she sees Soe is definitely good culture for a romance enjoyer like myself. To answer the question as to whether Slime Isekai Memories is worth playing, that would unfortunately be a no for a casual gacha player. In this oversaturated gacha market, there's far more generous games with their premium currency while having gameplay similar or even better than this game, with a story that is just as fresh as most other gachas in this day and age. Even for Slime fans, my answer will still remain close to no. So long as you don't spend a single cent, it's honestly quite a charming game in itself, but soon grows stale once you've exhausted the interesting side stories, as I've mentioned earlier. By which point you gravitate to another game instead, just like any other casual gacha game player, which I soon ended up doing myself. With that, I have to say, I do wish this game the best. And as always, stay safe, stay humble, and try not to overbinge the Genshin Slime crossover. This is the Annie Night, and we will see you next time.